My name is Haley. I love my family. My dad is a pastor. I have 2 sisters and a younger brother, and we were all very close. Life growing up with them, it was always good. I had a lot of friends. And ever since I was little, I played basketball. It was my absolute favorite. My life was centered around sports. That's what my whole high school was about. I played basketball, volleyball, and tennis. My junior year was definitely the highlight of my high school career. I was a high point scorer. I led in assists. I was being recruited by a lot of different schools. There was just a lot going for me.
Haley Cheney for 3. Good! Lead scorer for the Lady Knights, Haley Cheney has Haley Cheney for 3! Cheney for 3, next to Haley Cheney. Cheney with a layup. Oh, that's good!
On February 12th, my birthday, after our end of the year basketball team meetings with our coach, I was being taken to my favorite restaurant with all my friends. We started driving down the road, probably 20 feet down the road.
One local family will never be the same after a tragic accident nearly ended in death.
Birthdays are supposed to be a day of celebration, but for the Cheney family, what happened one birthday will make future celebrations even more important.
Because the roads were slippery, the driver lost control of the car and hit the front end of a school bus. The sudden stop of the car hitting the bus caused Haley's head to go forward, and because it spun it off the road, it twisted her brain. She ended up having 12 areas in her brain that were hemorrhaging.
Oh, Haley is down. Haley's down on the floor.
Good officials timeout.
Yeah, there were a lot of changes on her hit CT. There were some micro hemorrhages that were scattered throughout her brain.
I was in a coma for a week. The left side of my body was paralyzed. When I woke up from my coma, I was there for 3 weeks, but it was the longest 3 weeks of my life. I was taken to physical therapy, and all of my friends and my parents were like, I bet that's your favorite part, right? Because you're being active. They were so wrong. I hated it. It was the worst one because it showed me everything I couldn't do. I couldn't sit on a balance ball and reach to get a cone without falling off. The whole time in my mind, I'm thinking, it's fine, I'm still gonna be the same basketball player that I was. For volleyball season, I still played, but it wasn't enough for me because I remembered how I was before the accident and how I played, but I couldn't get my body to do it. You know, if you have like a broken ankle, you can't play. Like, you know that because it hurts, but with the brain injury, it's why can I not do this? There's no reason for me to not be able to do this. I still had hope. I'm gonna be there for basketball season. It doesn't matter what's going on right now, I'm gonna be ready to play. Our first basketball practice, the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors all lined up on the baseline. We're supposed to dribble to half court and bounce the balls at the same time and control it and then be able to come back. I remember being the last one. I remember being the last one to cross the end line. Every time I would try to dribble, the balls would get away from me. I'd bounce them off my feet. You're probably thinking, it's just basketball, Haley, like, stop being dramatic. I'm not being dramatic when I say that that was one of the hardest things in my life. Our first game was coming up. I had to meet with the coach. I went into his office and he was like, Haley, he's like, I don't think we're gonna have you start. This cannot be happening. This is my senior year. This is what everybody works for. And this is not going the way I thought it would. My security was with my sports. Basketball is my identity. So the fact that I was losing that, I was losing who I was. I felt like I was to live up to all these expectations that people had of me. That's where the guilt set in. My parents noticed that there was definitely something wrong. Every day after school, I would just go straight to my room and shut the door and lay on my bed. There was part of me that wanted desperately to be surrounded with people and wanted to laugh, but then there was another part of me that wanted to be alone. Throughout this whole time, I'm thinking about things that I never would have thought of before. I'm thinking about cutting. I'm thinking really scary thoughts about hurting myself, and it's freaking me out because the person I was before the accident, I was so happy all the time. At this point, I'm kind of talking to my friends and I'm like, guys, I'm thinking about cutting. I'm thinking about cutting my wrist and I don't know why. A lot of my friends started to kind of distance themselves because they were like, this isn't the Haley that we had before the accident. What's going on? I don't know how to help her. And so they were kind of scared and freaking out too. I was not doing well in school. With a traumatic brain injury, you get tired a lot faster. I was focusing on class, but it drained me. I felt disconnected from my family. I wasn't doing good in sports. All of it was a failure. And so I lost myself. I did not feel like I could express myself to anybody. And all the things that I was feeling inside, they were too complex. I didn't feel like there was a way out. So I had always heard about cutting and I had been thinking about it a lot. So I made that decision finally to do it. Whenever I started cutting, that was just like a release. There was a form of self-punishment because I felt worthless. It was also a form of control because nothing is in my control. So one day, my mom followed me back to my room and I shut the door, laid on my bed, and she came back and she was crying. And she said, Haley, we just got a phone call from the school and one of your teachers noticed that you were cutting. And I found these knives underneath your bed. That was hard for me to see them crying, to see them upset, because it's like, I'm doing this to them, which made me feel even worse, which would make me want to cut more. I need to hurt myself because I'm making others hurt. I met with Shauna. She works with my dad. She had asked me, do you want to meet every Tuesday, every week, in the morning before you go to school? So we started meeting and we just talk about what's going on in my life. She was such a good friend. I would get to share my heart and I knew that she would listen. She mentioned, Haley, have you ever thought about seeing a counselor? There was a point where I was able to let go of some really tough stuff that I was dealing with. Back in that really dark place when I was in my car accident, I'm saying, God, you've left me here with nothing. And then it went from that to, I don't care, I don't need you, I don't want you. That's when it was so easy to give in. Clinging to His word has made such a difference in my life because there's power in it. I always come back to that realization that God is enough for me. I don't have to cut anymore. In my mind, I lost everything because I didn't have the one thing that was my purpose or that was my identity. The only person that is absolute is Christ. Now I can say with complete confidence that my identity is in Christ and that I am his daughter.
Haley's down the floor. Haley went down hard. Haley Cheney. We never saw that coming. Looks like Haley's gonna be all right. Looks like she's up. She's all right. And we're back to playing. Spartans ball. Spartans ball. It's still 0-0.